And now let's break down the Fed's quarter-point rate cut and its implications on Philippine monetary policy, as well as the changing of House leadership with Emmanuel, Leyco, President and Chief Economist at Credit Rating and Investor Services Philippines Incorporated, and a fellow at the Center for People Empowerment in Governance, or CENPEG. Good morning, Noel, and thanks for joining us here on Money Talks.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, as expected, the U.S. Federal Reserve cut rates by 25 basis points. I mean, this was widely anticipated and highly scrutinized. What's your take? And tell us, how is this different from the Fed's previous decisions in recent years?
Well, in the beginning, we recall that the Federal Reserve did not want to move the tax rate or the interest rate because of its concerns on inflation. But now it appears that the Federal Reserve has now looked at jobs creation versus inflation risk. So the move by the Federal Reserve is expected to create or stimulate the U.S. economy by the consumer spending more and not being so concerned about the interest rate. But of course, there will always be the concern about inflation. And this is the tightrope that the Federal Reserve is trying to balance in. Do you cut the interest rate so that it can stimulate spending and hopefully jobs creation, or risk inflation, which can also create a downturn for the economy? So hopefully the interest rate cut by the Federal Reserve will be favorable to the U.S. economy. That can also result in Philippine economy benefiting from the rate cut. But I think that is a more complicated issue for the Philippines.
All right, Noel, well, let's bring this closer to home. How exactly will the Fed's decision and the possibility of two more cuts happening within the year affect the Bangko Sentral's own policy decision come October?
Well, first, in the U.S., consumer interest rates like purchases of cars, homes, and credit cards will be benefited by the lower interest rate. And therefore, the U.S. is expecting that through more vigorous consumer spending, the U.S. economy will be favored and get stronger. Now, will the Philippines, should the Philippines follow suit and therefore cut interest rate? I think that will create also impact on the foreign currency exchange rate between the Philippines and the U.S. If the U.S. interest rate is higher than the Philippine interest rate, of course, investors will be more attracted to U.S. the dollar-denominated assets. But of course, in the Philippines, we have a 1% higher than the U.S. interest rate. But of course, that is also mitigated by the foreign exchange currency exchange between the Philippines and the U.S.
Well, you also have Finance Secretary Ralph Recto penciling in two rate cuts that he described as safe. And with the interest rate differential narrowing and inflation still picking up, I mean, is there still space for our central bank to ease rates, Noel?
I'm not sure that will be beneficial for us. Although for the consumers, of course, a lower interest rate is always better for us. But then in terms of stimulating the economy, would the lower interest rate do its job? I think the Philippine economy needs more than an interest rate cut. We also have a number of issues that the Philippine government, the Bangko Sentral, the Department of Finance will also have to address.
Well, Noel, also in the headlines is the change in leadership at the lower house. We now have a new speaker in Boji D, and he said the House will be run differently. How do you think he should facilitate the budget process to ensure transparency? I mean, he did say already that every centavo of the government will be aligned with the needs of Filipinos. What reforms could be implemented within his own backyard?
Well, he's coming in when the national economic or the spending program has already been submitted to Congress. And already analysts are seeing a lot of red flags in this budget. Now, will the change in leadership of the House be able to address the concerns of the Filipino people? I think the biggest problem with the House leadership is that regaining the trust and confidence of the Filipino people. More than the actual budget flow, the budget hearings, and more of the expenditure being submitted by the Department of Budget and Management, there is already an ongoing distrust, mistrust, or lack of confidence by the Filipino people on the budgeting process. And that is why we've been hearing about the kind of national protest, the kind of magnitude, widespread protest happening on Sunday. Will the new speaker be able to pacify the anger of the people and regain its confidence? And I think in terms of the process itself, the House should be able to, or should open the process more to the civil society organizations. We have civil society organizations participating in the hearing, but it's not actually participation because they are not allowed to speak. They are not allowed to actually vote, and therefore the participation of the civil society is very, very limited. And I was hoping that the House leadership should be able to open further the participation of civil society if they want to regain the trust and confidence of the Filipino people in the budget process.
In other words, a more active participation from civil society groups. But Noel, since you already mentioned about the looming protest happening on September 21, is the business community concerned about this? How is investor confidence right now amid all this political noise?
Actually, a number of major business organizations have already made their statements that they would like a more transparent and more vigorous fight against corruption. This is the first time that major business organizations spoke as one entity. And I'm not sure if the Philippine government is hearing that, but perhaps they are. Reason for maybe changing the Senate President, the Speaker of the House, but then there is so much more that the government needs to do in order to pacify or even convince the Filipino people that in the middle of all this widespread corruption that is causing the people to drown in widespread flooding in the country today, I hope that they are able to respond better, and I hope they are able to address the concerns of the Filipino people against corruption.
You're right, Noel. I mean, you have civil society groups, even the church, and now business leaders speaking up on this. But I wanted to get your thoughts. How does the business community take the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, now that the ICI has already been constituted? What does it think about the ongoing investigations into flood control anomalies? And what is the effect on the Philippines, because we are an emerging market?
Most of the business organizations are hopeful. And I think it will be terrible for the Independent Commission to frustrate them, because right now the business organizations feeling that they are playing the field fairly, paying taxes, and yet the Philippine government, the entities that are supposed to protect the finances of the Filipino people are not doing their job. So it's up to the Independent Commission to convince not only the business sector, but the Filipino people at large. But, you know, there are already agencies and entities. There is the Ombudsman, there is the Commission on Audit, and there is the Department of Budget and Management that if the systems were in place, why did they not work to avoid that widespread corruption happening today in the country? In the trillions, we cannot stop doing this computation. During the Napoles time, we were only talking about billions. And now I think the corrupt practices or the corrupt people, they learned the job. They are gaming the system. Now they are able to game the system, and now they're raking in trillions of pesos in people's money. And that is really terrible.
You're right. And I think what really made it concrete for all of us is upon seeing that photo of wads of cash on the table, seeing millions and millions of pesos go to alleged kickbacks. But Noel, are you optimistic that all these hearings being done by Congress, you have in the Senate, it's being led by the Blue Ribbon Committee, at the lower house, it's the Infracom, will this lead to stronger anti-corruption legislation?
I hope so, but it will be very, very difficult considering that many of those involved are in the legislation or part of the legislature. So right now what we are seeing is that personalities who are involved in this issue, they're basically defending themselves, trying to extricate themselves from this system. But unfortunately, I think the evidences, the proofs, and I hope the independent commission is able to unearth them and present them to the proper forum. But then again, we will still have to go through the judiciary. And hopefully, unlike what happened in the Napoles issue, that the culprits, the ultimate culprits of this corruption in our country today will be made answerable to this crime against the people.
Mm-hmm. But here's something interesting, Noel. On the flip side, there was a study done by the University of Chicago that says stronger anti-corruption legislation actually stimulates or leads to economic growth and entrepreneurship. So if we live in an ideal world, is this one silver lining we can look forward to?
Oh, definitely. And I think it's not just that Chicago study that showed that, but there are also other cases. Cases in Hong Kong, cases in Singapore, cases in other countries where they showed deliberate and political, very strong political will to fight corruption that led to improvement in the lives of their people. Definitely, we're not actually giving up hopes, but we'd like to see more results. And we'd like to see results the soonest time possible, because the patience of the people is not unlimited, and they are seeing examples of how civil society, citizens, the people in other countries have taken the law into their hands, which is going to be terrible for us because that will set us back in a very, very, very bad way. So I hope that the government, those who are with the authority and responsibility to address this issue, they take heed, listen to the people. The corruption, magnitude of corruption happening in the country is just too much to bear. People are dying, people are drowning.
All right, Noel, well, before we let you go, the president has just signed a new law amending the Right-of-Way Act, allowing the government to acquire more land for big-ticket infrastructure projects. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that is great. However, we have had a number of right-of-way laws and even constitutionally protected the right-of-way when the people or the government declares its public domain or eminent public domain. The law should be able to pursue the objectives, the goals of the government, and support the initiatives of the government. But what would be missing here, or what would be critical here, is political will. I have seen a number of bridges or a number of pathways that will cross major neighborhoods of the rich people. And what they do is, instead of following the straight line, they will curve around the neighborhoods because they could not touch the strength, the voice of the economically powerful elite of the country. So I think, again, we can have a number of right-of-way laws, the best laws that we have. However, if the political will in our government leadership is lacking, that will just come to naught. And hopefully that doesn't happen.
All right, well, we'll leave that there for now. Thank you very much for your time and your insights. Emmanuel Leyco of Senpec. Thanks, Noel.